This is Impact Healthcare, people and strategies that are disrupting the health benefits industry. And now, here's your host, healthcare benefits industry expert and the originator of the transparent health benefits movement, Lester Morales.
Welcome back to another episode of the Impact Healthcare podcast. I am delighted to have my guest today. I would say social media has been an interesting thing in the development of networks, but sometimes networks turn into friends. And so I have somebody here that's not only a colleague, but a friend, Mr. John Troutman. John, for the folks that maybe don't know you and your wonderful company, give us an introduction.
Hey, thanks a lot, Lester. And again, I appreciate those kind words. You have become a dear brother and friend, and it's a great honor to be here. I'm Vice President of Business Development with Mind Club America. We are a one-stop shop for mental health.
So, John, I typically have guests on here that are salmon, right? They're swimming in a different direction than the rest of the world, whether it's an employer or an advisor. I think the common link amongst everybody is that there's either a story or a why or, something that pulls that gravitational pull that goes against the current. Can you share yours?
Yeah, I really can. And you probably heard this a number of times, but I'm not ashamed to share it again. So I burned out. And when I say that, I was fried. I was told to be careful not to burn out. I didn't know what that would look like. No one who really was trying to give me that advice 12, 15 years ago knew what to look for either. But I'm a workaholic. Like you, I love when I'm doing what I should be doing, I'm a workaholic. It's just hard to shut that off. And I didn't understand the pause. I didn't understand the breaks. And quite transparently, I was living an unbalanced lifestyle and doing too much. And sometimes you can do too much of a good thing, even though you're doing good things, you can just fry yourself out. And I just kept adding to my workload, adding more hours, doing more things. And when I say I got fried, I needed to take months off, not one or two, but I needed to take 4 to 6, if I remember correctly. And it was intensive counseling. And going through that time, even the people who were trying to help, they didn't know how to help. They knew the workaholic. They knew the person who loved to get shit done. But now I wasn't able to do anything. Now I was just in a very dangerous place, quite honestly. So after going through that process of getting the help that I needed, I just made a vow. If I had to go through this time and gratefully survive, that's another story, but gratefully survive, I want to leverage that to help a million people. And that's when I decided I'm going to figure out how to get in the mental health space, how to make a difference, how to impact lives and prevent, a lot of people from going through the same mistakes that I made.
So, John, it's interesting, right? I think the word and the scenario of mental health gets thrown around a lot, right? It's a very popular subject from the stigma from, being two males, right? And rub some dirt on it has been told to us since we were 3 years old and not to show emotion to burnout to, people with kids who have issues, to parents who are having issues. It looks like when Mind Club and John Troutman define mental health and the services that we're talking about and the things to look out for, is there a definition or a range of definitions that we could start kind of as like the baseline of this conversation?
Yeah, I would say the key word is preventative, right? So oftentimes when we talk about mental health, we hear the words by providers out there, we're there when you need us. And while that's great that you're there when they need you, but you need to be there before they need you and be preventative. Just think about carte blanche in our industry, the value of preventative healthcare. So to do that on a mental health side of things and be investing in people on a daily basis, engaging them with ways that they can invest in their own mental health on the norm, it just can prevent a whole lot of things. I don't want to be helping somebody just at the point of time when they're fried. I want to be helping them before they get fried, right? And they can take those measures to prevent all the other decisions because you understand this, Lester. Your mental health, like your physical health, is like dropping a water droplet in a large body of water. That ripple effect affects everybody around you. It affects your coworkers. It affects your career move. It affects your choices. So preventative is the key word when I talk about robust mental health solutions. We're going to engage the employee population right out of the gate.
So it's really interesting that you said it like that. I was just reminiscing of thinking, okay, an employer thinks everybody understands the issue post COVID, especially. I mean, it's been on the radar screen at an all time high. Anti-anxiety and depression medications is always a top 5 from a utilization, da, 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 da. But when we look at the benefits that are typically available, that are offered by employers to employees, they are all very reactionary. So what you said with preventative, however anybody says it, I actually got told one time on stage that I was saying it wrong, and I don't remember if I've changed because of it. So it's an interesting thing. But an EAP, oh, you have 6 visits. Well, a visit is, oh crap, I'm at the point that I need a visit and I'm going there. There wasn't anything proactive. It's like, hey, we're here if you need us. When you look at the utilization report, it's like, -7% of the people that do it. Your medical plan might have availability to a small network of people, but we all know that most mental health professionals have so much business, they don't even like taking insurance. And so when you say preventative, what do you mean by that? And how are you guys solving that for employers?
Great question. So, right out of the gate, when we work with a group, the first thing that we're going to ask is that leadership to take our assessment and to give themselves their own baseline of where they are at. It's going to tell them instantaneously whether or not counseling would be a great idea. After that point in time, we go and talk to the employees. So with each individual, it's imperative that they set up their own account. And here's why. When they fill up and set up their own account, they're going to be engaging cognitive behavioral therapy. It's going to work with them where they are in that moment and have them set up the steps to make that progress to move forward. It's going to use gamification. It's going to use rewards to inspire them, which a lot of people need in challenging times. I'm not saying that inspiration should be our go-to 365 days a year, but sometimes for some people, it's what they need to initially get going. So that part of setting up that account, and then it's going to monitor their progress. It's going to tell them if they missed a day, encourage them to get back on track the next day. And when they have made those good choices and they have followed through with the things that they already agreed to do, it's going to give them rewards. So it's going to keep that going. It's also going to create the appropriate steps beyond that so they continue and as they grow and invest in their own mental health. The solution piece for employers is this can be a no fee solution. So I hear every single week, if not every single day, from people, well, I believe in mental health, but I don't want to pay extra for it. I can understand that, right? So they may have it in your plan. Great. We'll bolt onto that plan. And I'm not here just to talk about what we're doing. I'm sure others may be doing this as well. But when you have access to a resource that you don't have to pay for, why wouldn't you engage them and allow them to engage your employee population? Because that's the preventative piece. We're going to be the ones that are going to do the heavy lift. And in our universe of benefits, doesn't matter what it is, engagement is gold.
So when somebody you're sitting down with an employer and they understand it's an issue, I think that I don't want to pay for it. I understand it's an issue and I don't want to pay for it. I sometimes have to laugh. Like I want a 6-pack, but I don't want to eat right or go to the gym. Right. But like I'll leave that one for a whole nother conversation. Um, but let's kind of dig into this.
Yeah.
I'm an employer. I know it's a thing. I want to do it. The assessment. So let's talk about that assessment. I do love the leadership taking that assessment. Walk me through that assessment, that intake. what is it asking? What is it telling people? Is it about themselves? Are they talking about their employee population? What's that assessment look like
Great question, Lester. So again, it's going to ask them personalized questions to them.
for them? Okay.
It's going to be confidential. It's going to be trying to assess, and it will very successfully assess where they are right now with their own individual mental health. And I think that is key because a lot of leaders are very similar to my story, my past. These are driven, successful people. They mean well, they want to do well, they want to take care for their own employees, but oftentimes they don't look at their own situation and their own mental health. That oftentimes can be neglected. So we want to deal with that first so that they can at least be aware. Again, that's up to them afterwards what they do with that information when that assessment comes back with the results. But at least they know where they are, and it gives them an understanding of what their employees' experience is going to be when we have that webinar with them and walk the employee population through that process.
It's interesting you say that, right? Like I pride myself of being somebody who is proactive in health and fitness and whatever. But like when you talk about like, hey, the CEO eats last, right? That's a perfect example of, hey, go ahead and take that day off, employee, and deal with your child, your situation, your this. I'll pick up the load, in a smaller company, especially, right? And I think about that with myself until you get into situations where you're like, yo, I need a like time out. Like I feel, and that happened to me recently. And you were a big, inspiration to me, texting me all the time. Like I was at the point where it's like, all right, time out. I can't, my plate ain't, we're at a one in, one out situation. The velvet rope is closed. There's nothing else that can come in.
Hmm.
In that, if we're being stereotypic or like, percentages, when you do that assessment amongst the leadership, I got to imagine on average, it's a higher score on the what I would call negative side. Like there is more strain, more push, more need at that top level because as they say, right, it's lonely at the top. You can't go to your employees and talk about XYZ. You can't go to a coworker and be like, God, I'm about to like choke. I got so much stuff. Do you see that relative like score difference that the execs are probably people that need to work on this themselves?
Well, again, the percentage of burnout is still very high in this country, right? And those numbers are very high. I don't have them right in front of me right now, but what I have seen, Lester, and this isn't a surprise either, is when management realizes it's a 3 to 5 minute process of just taking that assessment, they are more supportive of us engaging their population, and we get better results in getting their employees engaged. And again, that doesn't cost anything, and just that understanding. And sometimes people just need to know. And I can't tell you the amount of going back to your leadership question. I can't tell you the number of times that I heard from these people. I really didn't know that's where I was on my score for mental health. I thought I was doing much better than that. Right now, I don't go back and look at, and it's all confidential. I have no idea if those individuals have done anything about that information. But sometimes awareness is key. Just understanding where you are on that overall chart of well-being when it comes to your mental health can let you be aware, you know what? It's like stepping on the scale, right? And I see numbers that I don't want to see. I need to take some action here because I'm headed in the unhealthy direction. That's really what that assessment does.
Yeah, when you're saying it, I'm giggling. I'm not giggling at the problem. I'm giggling at myself, thinking how many of us in a leadership perspective wear the ability to take more on and more stress as a badge of freaking honor. Like it's like, you know, you and I are GSD, get your, like focus on this, just yeah, and especially males in this, right? So it's like, don't show weakness, emotion, get shit done. Like it just piles on. I think society is getting a little bit more like it's okay to not be okay, but that scale analogy is a really good one because you kind of don't know. Again, you're not sitting around with peers, whether it's professional or personal, being like, have you checked your mental score day today, right? It's not like your blood pressure or like your glucose or your weight or whatever, or like, hey, I did 8 reps at 225 today. It really is something that unless you proactively go seek it out, you don't know how long that runway is until you fall over that cliff. It's a great thing. So the assessment happens at this level. Then they say, oh, crap, I see how easy the assessment was. I see how valuable it was. I see the output of it. And then the next stage is, hey, let me push this out to my employee population. What's that messaging? Because you can kind of do most leadership say we took it, now we want you to? Are they saying like a more grandiose, like where do you see the best practices at the best organizations in that transfer from we did it up here, we want everybody to do it, the why and the connection point there?
Great point and great question. So the data is out there that the vast majority of employees don't know how to access the mental health programs that they already have with their benefits.
Interesting.
Right. So that's what the data says. I believe it's close to 60%. So it is game changing with any population of employees when the leadership comes out and says, this is something that we have done. This is a benefit that you have, and here's what you need to do to access. Here's how you access that. So again, that whole trickle down, we've already done this, not here's what this is. We've done this already. You've already gone, we've already done that. Hey, if the leadership's done it, and like I said, it's a 3 to 5 minute process, very simple, it's confidential. HR is not going to be aware of the data. All that information is private. So again, it's going to go back to the individual. It's going to give them that baseline, and that's what starts when they take the baseline. If I can continue this down the next step, that webinar with all the employees, Lester, is about explaining to them the value of them creating their own account, because that's going to set them on that trajectory to a better place where they may not even need counseling. Let's just talk about that. Investing in yourself where you don't have to pay a dime for it. The employer, the employees, right? Maybe not everybody's on the edge of burnout. Some folks just need someone to talk to, or some cognitive behavioral therapy to tweak some things. So you talked about this when you talked about regular maintenance, diet, working out. I take my car in almost religiously to the dealership. I get a notification, it goes off. It's not a question. That happens. How many people do that with their mental health? How many? I know I don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, between the stigma, between how hard it is to access care from 60% of people don't even know they have the care. So now take the stigma and the lack of knowledge, and you're like, who are you going to go ask? You're going to go ask HR. Hey, how do I use my mental health benefit? Right? That's an awkward conversation. So like, I can see the numbers dwindling just at the realities of the reality.
Yeah. So having that support from the top down, this is something we've done. Here's an easy process. Here's Emily Morris. She's going to be leading this webinar with you. Here's how you download the app. And once they get to that process, I get notifications. The value of accountability. I've gone through challenging times in life, and I've not, even though I have over 15,000 connections on LinkedIn, 15,000 people haven't reached out to me. Maybe a handful, maybe 3. And I'm blessed to say that you were one of those people. That's what the benefit is on your phone of getting that accountability on a daily basis. Just checking in, not trying to sell you anything, not trying to have you necessarily do things that you shouldn't do. It's things you should do. Just checking in on you. And you can change that frequency as time goes on.
You know what's interesting about that thought, right? The psychology of that, right? Because you look at it on 2 angles. Number one, that message when you need it could be the lifeline that you need
Oh, yeah.
on that side. On the accountability side, to your point, it's like, oh shit, I haven't been doing it. And it's like that reminder that it's like, there is no better investment than in ourselves. You can't be a good mom, a good dad, a good wife, a good husband, a good boyfriend, a good daughter, a good anything if you're not taking, like, you got to fill your cup before you could fill other people. So like, if people correlate that message, not to someone's bothering me, to, whether you're on the good cycle and want to remain good, right? Like, it's easy to miss a day at the gym, a week at the gym, but you miss a month at the gym, and next thing you know, you're sliding, and it happens quick. Next thing you know, you wake up, it's 3 years later. Your mental health is kind of the same way. It's like you get a couple bad weeks in a row, and then it's like black cloud, and then you're now looking, right? Don't focus on that tree. What am I going to do? I'm going to hit the damn tree, right? So, like, you look at that stuff. That's such an interesting thing, because no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, it could be the lifeline, or it could just be that gentle nudge that's like, oh, I got to invest in me today. And with leadership pushing that, I think that breaks down a little bit of that stigma. Like, hey, I did it. Like, I got some things I need to work on. We're human.
Yeah, and if I can just follow that up, Lester. So you brought up a good point. The concept of we're there when you need us. Those groups, and again, I'm not here to throw mud at EAPs or any other mental health providers at all, or my competitors. That is not who I am. I'm not going to start today. However, the reality is this: when you go with "we're there when you need us," and then the employee, the end consumer, has to wait 60 days plus for medication management, 4 months plus to talk to a clinician, 5 months to talk to a psychiatrist, that's not a solution. And are you really there if the person in that moment in time, and this is a true story, I had a benefit advisor reach out to me in the last 2 months. One of their friends was contemplating suicide. They literally had called suicide prevention, and they were placed on hold. That was something that I joked about with Rodney Dangerfield back in the 80s, and now that's our reality. That's not a solution, man. No,
Well,
calling you finally are at a place where you're gonna take that option to save your life, and you're placed on hold. So, again, he reached out to me, he's like, "What am I supposed to do?" Again, what we do is we make sure that you're gonna see somebody. Now, in a crisis situation like that, it's gonna be immediate, of course, right? But I'm talking about on the normal, when it's a not as severe of a crisis situation, we're gonna get you to see somebody within 2 business days. That's a solution. Whether it's medication management or whether you're just feeling a little stressed or anywhere along those lines, 2 days is what we're talking about. That's a solution. So, running with the mindset or the marketing campaign of "we're there when you need us," and then they have to wait months, that's not a solution.
well, it's again, especially because the overcoming of that stigma and that self guilt, and, all of the things that it took to pick up the phone and make that call.
Mm.
I mean, look, man, I remember myself. I'm like, I'm blessed, to have the life that I do, but, like, I've lost my parents. I've had some shit happen, right? But it's like, you at time to time, woes is me. Like, you give me a Mother's Day, when you're looking on Facebook and seeing everybody with their mom, and you can't help, like, you're human. You can't help start getting in a little bit of a hole. And so I think about that stuff when you just said that. It's like, man, to get to and over that hump, that inertia that's needed to take that next action, and then to be told, hey, I got you an appointment in 8 weeks, right? It's like, at that point, you've done said, "You know what? That's just another sign this world isn't for me." And then you're deeper in that hole than you were before.
Hmm.
How if I'm somebody else and I'm listening, and it's like, "Hey, there's gaps in the marketplace. There's not enough mental health professionals. So, hey, that other company who's saying I can get you an appointment for in 8 weeks, I'm placing somebody on hold." If that's the reality over here, if I was in a, skeptical mindset, and you said, "Hey, we're going to get it to you in 2 days," how do you guys do it in 2 days, where that other person who would probably like to deliver that benefit but can't do it in 8 weeks? How bridge that gap for me?
Well, again, I think people need to understand what is going on out there in the realm of providers of mental health. So it isn't always the case where there's a lack of providers out there across the country. It's a lack of providers in the networks that most people use. And if we think about the demographics, again, I'm not going to psychoanalyze psychiatrists, but here we go. right? The vast majority of these people, Lester, are not necessarily driven by money. They're not. They're driven about making a difference first. And when it comes to working with carriers, let's be realistic. These are challenges, right? So aligning with the carrier network is what's something that a lot of them have not done. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do
The administrative bullshit and all of
right.
that stuff. Yeah.
So when you talk about the lack of availability, a lot of times that's speaking directly to those carrier networks that are in place. So what we do is we reach out to clinicians and we build our own network case by case with groups that are out there. That's why if you were to call me this afternoon after this call and said, "Hey, I got a group for you in Idaho," that's great, but give me 90 days, Lester. So that's what we do. We take that 90 days, we take the network we have, we make sure it's robust enough for that group. We find independent clinicians, and then we do the part of getting them connected with those carriers. We take care of all the paperwork, we take care of all the billing, we take care of the scheduling with them. They don't have to do any marketing. We're getting them more business, and they don't have to worry about all the frustration of the carriers. So, from the end user's perspective, it's a seamless process. The only thing that's different, they're reaching out to us instead of one of the blues or whoever they may have.
So you're just taking away the bullshit and allowing them to do what they got through school and love to do.
Right.
Which, again, I mean, that is the story of life, right? In regards to anything, right? There is. I can completely see. I mean, shoot, I'd love to run a business that I don't have to do all of the administrative crap to run the business. So if somebody else would allow me out, so I could see the benefit there. Talk to me about the range of services. Mental health and the needs around it, vary, right? It might be for this problem, that problem, this problem, marriage, kids, childhood trauma, things that people are trying to work for. And then I'd like to understand that. And then also, like, is it telephonic? Is it in person? Because I actually downloaded the BetterHelp app, right? And I see and talk to a therapist, and uh, you know, why not? Right? Like, if I'm trying to be the best human I could be, having a opportunity to bounce something off and be like, "Yo, I felt this way. I didn't like the way I felt." Right? Like, I've gotten over that stigma myself with the mindset of I'm just trying to be the best person and human I can be, whether I wanna do so for myself or I can have an external motivation, my nieces, my brother, my colleagues, my employees, the industry, whatever. Talk to me about the range of services, telephonic, not telephonic, in person, like, talk to me about that whole thing.
Sure. Thanks. And again, I think you and I would both agree with this point. Some people may argue it, but I think that's going to cost them, and that is everyone needs a coach, right? So whether it's business, whether it's life, I mean, if it's me at the gym as I hit the two nickels age, right? I'm starting to tweak things. I can't work out. Well, I never worked out the way you do, but but I had to learn how to modify things and change things. So I sought guidance. I thought, okay, well, now that I'm no longer the youngest buck out there, what's the best way for me to get on a trajectory of being the best version of myself? So when I'm talking about mental health, I'm talking about all the aspects. The value of taking that assessment, even if you don't get the help of a clinician to have a counseling session, you can take that information, go back into the platform and say, okay, I want to work on these things based off of the assessment. You can set up your own trajectory. That can become your coach. That can become your accountability. And again, if you need wellness coaching, let's say maybe it's dietary or working out or just mindfulness, just being still, right?
What's that?
That's work, right? I mean, probably for you and I, that's the hardest part. The most brutal thing was implementing Nama's advice of breathing, right, and doing that. Um, it's brutal, but I force myself to do that. So yes, we can handle all those things. It's not just online. It's not just digital. When it comes to actually getting the counseling piece, whether it's wellness, whether it's mental health, these things can be either face to face or they can be virtual. I mean, I know a lot of people just prefer virtual, but I know from our experience, educators in particular, um, they want to physically go. Because again, they don't want anybody to know about going to see somebody. They'll go away. They don't want to go necessarily in their community. They want to physically go somewhere. A lot of times people who are in politics, it's the same thing that we've seen is they want to be on, they want to physically go. They don't want the data of them actually talking to so and so. So they physically want to leave their, the frequented areas and go somewhere else and to address those areas. So we can provide on-site. In a case of DPC, we work with DPC providers. We can have that clinician right there at that office. So from the whole universe's perspective, you're just going to talk to your doctor. Um, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting again, the everyone needs a coach, kind of concepts, right? It's so interesting. The thing that got me personally over that was if I know that I want to get from here to here, I know I want to do it. Like it is 100% something that I want to do. If I can talk to somebody who has already been there or can help me to get there faster, easier, why wouldn't I do that?
Mm,
And, let's take aside the monetary, right? Because some coaches obviously cost money, but like
mm,
I just think about that. Like time is money, mistakes are money, misery is money. Like anything, like I equate money to energy and value, right? So like maybe it's not monetary. Maybe doing research on the internet or Googling something isn't going to cost me anything. But if it's not going to help and I'm stuck in the same place, lack of productivity costs me actual money. Like, all of those things. So like, I wish the world would separate that concept of coach maybe I'll say it a different way,
mm,
expand the definition of coach.
mm,
That coach could be counselor, coach could be friend, coach could be anybody who is doing something better than I'm doing it today that I would like to be in their shoes, right? And so it's an interest, or they can help me get in the shoes that I want to get to. Maybe they've never been there. Like there are plenty of PGA golf pro coaches who never played on the PGA tour, right? I had pitching coaches that never pitched. I'm okay with somebody being able to have an eye for something, understand the mechanics of it, gone to school for it, that is an expert. So I love that concept of like whatever that journey is. Let's call it, if we think about Donald Miller's story brand, right? Like storytelling, where like you're just the right, you're Yoda. Everybody look for their Yoda. Whatever your Yoda means to you, go find that out. John, I'd love to like make this into a real thing. So as you've looked over clients who have implemented best practices, what does that look like? And what's been the results? What are some results to the end unit, to that employee, that family member? Can you share some examples?
Well, I'll give you one case study of a well-known auto manufacturer, which if I said the name, you would recognize it point blank, right? In Tennessee, we've increased productivity. We've turnover in the auto industry is insane, especially with dealerships. We've reduced turnover. It's huge. The auto industry as well. There's lots of other things going on, addictive behaviors. We were also able in the course of working with them to also lower their overall healthcare expense because it reduced the amount of emergency room visits, psychiatric care, those types of things. So automotive industry, we've seen wonderful results in the past. And dating back, even before there was a Mind Club by our founder. So, uh, that's something that we can help. Turnover is still a major thing. Adding that benefit, we're working with people in the pharmacy world where they're trying to be very competitive with larger organizations. So we're able to get in there. And again, being a one-stop shop is huge because they don't need to. I need to go this to this vendor to that provider. It's one place. So whether it's a person who's just feeling a little stressed in the moment or a person who's ready to have a nervous breakdown, they know they can get the help they need even before they need it.
So, and when you say, the good results, if you asked the HR person or the CEO of that organization, what is the why they feel that is happening? Is it actually somebody getting the help, or is it the connection to the employer that now is felt a little bit more? The stats will tell you, especially millennials and younger, they want to work for an employer that has a mission, and that they feel that they're actually loved by that employer. But when they tell you that we've had these incredible results, is it more like, hey, I got the help that I needed, thank you, employer? Or is it, hey, my employer cares because they gave me access to this, or some combination of the two? Do they give you any of that kind of feedback?
So the feedback that I've been given is this, Lester, and that's again, I can only tout and give words of praise to Emily Morris. She's our director of engagement. When I talk about white glove service, it's more like a Ritz situation. It's not some other type of white glove scenario, right? So what I mean by that is, yes, we have excellent tools online for your phone, on your laptop, yes, but you're going to get that employer is going to get that dedicated service of a person who genuinely cares. Emily's a licensed therapist. So when that HR person reaches out to her about real world scenarios that are going on, she's actually getting not just coaching, but also counseling just to help her navigate that challenging situation. That part is huge. So being able to do that, being able to be preventative, being a part of the engagement process and talking to those employees about those things, letting them know that they can have that ahead of time has been very helpful to them. The other piece is this. How many people do you know? I'll put the question back to you. How many people do you know that are paying for an EAP or some type of mental health solution, and they really don't know what real, ready for this? What real mental health utilization is, right?
Uh,
They just
Everybody. I mean, again, it's such an afterthought. I mean, I've been in this business my entire career. Like, literally, I can remember a spreadsheet that would just have a check the box thing that says, is the EAP included in the disability coverage? Check. Is it 3, 6, or 9 visits? Check. And literally, it was just a check mark. Maybe some employers wanted a little bit more robust, but if you asked me, very similar to my frustration in the medical world, what was the actual utilization? What can we do about it? What things can we promote more? I mean, 0%.
Yeah, so the HR is gonna get a dashboard where they're gonna see it themselves. They can see it. It's almost real time. It's that live, so they can go in and see what's going on. They can see the number of visits to the website, the engagement of the employees. Not again, it's all confidential. They're not gonna see which employees. They're just gonna get the numbers. They're gonna also see how many have gone for counseling. Not that they're paying for it now, depending on that group and how they wanted to have it be covered, they may be. But if it's a setup that they're not paying for it, what a value! I mean, you're gonna know your ROI is going to be there. That's a guarantee.
It's an interesting thing, right? Because it's again, it's if you're going to talk about it, if you're going to say it's an issue, if you're going to say you recognize it's an issue,
Hmm.
and you don't do anything about it, then either shut up or you're a hypocrite. Like, there's only that's it, right? So you either do something about it, and I don't care what it is. I mean, again, if we're talking about diet and exercise, like, you can't get the six pack if you keep eating the Twinkies, right? That's just the deal. So in this example, it's like the the incremental cost versus the gain. And yeah, the gain could be hard dollar. Some of this is soft dollar, but like, there there's not a person alive right now, if they just pick their head up from the sand, that would say there's not 100% of your population that could benefit from this. From the happiest person that's, whistling down the hallway, to the person who, has the shortest fuse and gonna pop off at any point. So I really see this as kind of one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna say that you recognize the issue, there is no obstacle to, take that next step. And speaking of, as we kind of conclude this, where can somebody take this assessment or learn more, or take something and to kind of get a taste of this? Like, how does somebody engage with you, engage with the organization? Is there something that we could put in the show notes that like everybody can click on and kind of see? Like, how do people continue this conversation with you?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lester. Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. If you can't find me there, I probably am sick, but you can find me on LinkedIn, mindclubamerica.com. At
Yep.
mindclubamerica.com, you can take that assessment today. It's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to cost you anything to set up your own account. You can take it for a test drive yourself, see what that does. I encourage everyone who's watching this to do it. If nothing else, maybe we won't work together, but if it helps you in your mental health, that's success for me. So go to Mind Club America. There's going to be a create your account. Do that. It's going to ask you to set up the assessment, take the assessment. It's going to ask you to set up your profile with your various steps along the way, and it's going to engage you. I encourage everybody to do that. Again, that's no cost. Um, I'm passionate about mental health, and if I can go in reverse just for 1 second and say this, I think we all individually need to change the stigma. I think we need to take ownership for mental health and start communicating. It shows strength when you stop to invest in your mental health. It shows strength when you go and talk to a mental health counselor. It shows strength when you say, you know what, I learned this and I need to change these behaviors because they're not healthy. They're impacting me. And it shows strength when you as a leader realize self-care, it's not selfish. And that you're going to be the leader that's going to care for yourself first because you care for everybody else in that company. So whether you're an employer, whether you're a benefit advisor, owning that self-care piece, I think that's something that we need to tout and screen more to people in our industry because we sell a ton of benefits, but we are not always practicing self-care to be the best example. And I fall short myself. So I think that's a big part of mental health. If we all want to get there, whether or not you want to work with Mind Club, we can make a difference in mental health if our actions follow our words. I think we can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's an inarguable comment. I liken the stigma. I had a very alpha female mother, and who would stop in front of a door, and she wouldn't touch that door. She had two boys. One of them was going to open the door for her. And she always taught me that a man opens the door for a woman, not because the woman can't do it for herself, because that's the respect that you show and the honor that you show. And I kind of look at that the same way. Stopping and self care. And I'm actually going to contradict a little bit of what you said. I'm going to say, in order to give to others, you do have to be a little selfish and give to yourself because I can't pour from a cup that ain't got anything in it. And so I'm going to make my declaration right now. By next week, I would have already taken the assessment. I am going to post the results online. We could start a little bit of a movement on this because I am someone literally in the last month, I have had more anxiety, more like if I didn't have my cold plunge upstairs, whenever I'm in a funk, I just go in 38-degree water, and that's kind of my okay. But like I think what you said is exactly right. I want to say it my own way. It's okay to be selfish and work on you because you can't give to others when you're pouring out of an empty cup. And everybody who's a leader, let's say this, it's a lot easier to let somebody else lead the way. So when you're a leader, you're doing it. There's some selfish intent, but the most leaders I know are doing this for a mission, for a reason, for their employees and whatnot. John, this has been a fantastic conversation. Um, I love I just love the practical nature of it, right? It's but I love the last statement in regards to the accountability aspect because we won't everybody talks about the issue, but if we don't you be the change you want in the world, right? Yeah, I don't remember who said that. Was it Mandela? I think it was Mandela. Yeah, be the change you want to see in the world. Well, you just gave everybody that call to action. So Mind Club America, John Troutman. He's on LinkedIn every single day, probably about 4:30 a.m. I saw it this morning as I was getting ready to cold plunge before the gym. Thank you, John, for the story, for the vulnerability, and for the solution. And thanks for being a guest on the Impact Healthcare podcast.
Lester, thanks so much. Always a privilege, brother.
Always. To our audience, I don't normally ask for anybody to share. I feel like people are going to share if they found value in it. This is probably one that I'm going to ask everybody to share. There isn't a person who is hearing my voice right now who doesn't know somebody who is struggling with mental health, or probably in this day and age, everybody knows somebody who has taken their own life. If there's nothing else that you do today to impact others, if you see this on LinkedIn in this episode, share it. If you take the link and share it, if you take the link to Mind Club and tell somebody to take assessment, if you take the assessment, post it yourself, and let's break that stigma so that we can help the world. So thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Impact Healthcare Podcast.
You've been listening to Impact Healthcare, people and strategies that are disrupting the health benefits industry with Lester Morales. Remember, the journey to getting 20% savings on your healthcare benefits starts with total transparency. Remember to subscribe to the Impact Healthcare Podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.